Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with your host Eric Arnold, presented by Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella Motors.
Welcome to the program. You're listening to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with Eric Arnold, track historian at the Knoxville Raceway. Thank you for joining us tonight here on KBOE 104.9 FM and KBOEradio.com. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to have an interview that we pre-recorded Saturday night at the track with 410 driver Davey Heskin. Davey is a 26-year-old college graduate out of Minnesota, drives the red number 56 Deluxe Crates Sprinter. He was second place this past week, and that should make for a nice interview here in a little bit. Before we get to that interview, we'll go into our first segment here with our race recap of this past week's racing at the Knoxville Raceway. It was a great night at the Knoxville Raceway. It was weather was great. Memorial Day weekend, we had a nice crowd, and we had a really good race. If you weren't there, you missed out on a really good show. And make sure you check out the highlights on our YouTube channel on KnoxvilleRaceway.com. We had 31 cars entered in the 410 class, 79 cars total. We'll start off with the 305 class. Chris Walraven of Knoxville set quick time for the second time this season with a lap 17.129 seconds. Heat race winners were Dustin Clark, Matthew Stelzer, and Cade Higday. In the 305 feature, starting in the second row was Kevin Hetrick. He split the front row starters of Mike Philbin and McKenna Hassey. As they were going through turns 1 and 2, he split them, took the lead, and never really looked back from there. On a couple of occasions, McKenna Hassey was able to kind of reel in Hetrick, but didn't have enough to quite catch up to him there. It was Hetrick's first career win at the Knoxville Raceway, which had to feel good for him. And a few weeks ago, he led the first 6 laps of a feature and lost, so leading all 12 laps the entire distance this week and getting his first win. So congratulations to Kevin Hetrick. The finish of the 305 A-Main was Hetrick was your winner, McKenna Hassey second, Mitchell Alexander third, Matthew Stelzer fourth, and Jay Kinder fifth. Earning the hard charger this week was Stacy Alexander. He's won the 305 hard charger award 5 of the 6 weeks this season, so if they can figure out how to qualify a little better and start towards the front, they could probably pick up a win. McKenna Hassey, a 17-year-old female driver, it was kind of a record-setting night for her. Her finishing second in the feature is the best finish of a female driver ever at the Knoxville Raceway. The best finishes I could find looking back through the record books was Natalie Sather in a 360 feature in June of 2008, finished third, and Aaron Crocker had a 4th place finish in a 360 Nationals preliminary feature back in 2003. So McKenna Hassey, the real deal, 17 years old, looking to maybe get a win before the end of the season, I think. She's definitely got a lot of talent, probably the most talented female driver I've seen since Aaron Crocker. Moving to the 360 class, Justin Henderson of South Dakota set quick time for the 3rd straight week and the 4th time this season in the 360 class with a lap of 16.358, followed by Dylan Peterson and Joe Beaver, the top 3 in qualifying. Winning the heat races on this night for the 360s were Nate Van Haften, John Egan, and Jamie Ball. In the 305 feature, Jason Johnson immediately shot to the high side of the racetrack, but as they went around turns 1 and 2 on the first lap, Russ Hall shot down on the bottom and grabbed the lead as they went down the back straightaway. On the very next lap, Jason Johnson was able to get around Russ Hall, take the lead, and lead laps 2 through 15 to go on and win the race pretty handily. Russ Hall finished second, John Egan third, Jamie Ball fourth, and Justin Henderson fifth. Joe Beaver finished sixth. His worst finish of the season going into this week was a 5th, so 6th place for Joe Beaver this week, who is currently second in points as John Egan leads driver points, with Justin Henderson and the Sunbeam number 1 team leading the car owner points. Okay, moving to the 410 division. There are 31 cars entered on this night. Roger Crockett from Oregon was in attendance driving the LaHaye Buffalo Wild Wings number 82 this week. This next coming week, it sounds like Brian Clausen of Indiana, a former Indy 500 starter and USAC champion, will be in that car at Knoxville this week. We also had Jason Johnson and Brad Loyette in the 410 class again this week. Unfortunately, Rico Abreu had a last-minute change of plans, and as their 410 car wasn't quite ready. He opted to race a midget up in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where he crashed, and it sounds like he broke his collarbone. Rico Abreu may be missing a few weeks to heal up for that injury. In 410 qualifying, Justin Henderson set quick time in that class as well, the third time this season with a lap of 15.426. That's an average speed of 115 miles an hour. Brian Brown was second quick, Linton Jeffrey third, Terry McCarl and Davey Heskin were your top 5 in qualifying. In the heat races, your winners were Cole Wood, Larry Ball Jr., and Bronson Mason. Terry McCarl was impressive in Heat 1, coming from 5th to 2nd, while Ryan Button had some tough luck. He made contact with the Turn 3 fence and was done for the night. The top 8 cars in qualifying all made it through their heat races and redrew for starting positions in the feature. In the A main, it was probably the best feature that we've seen so far this season. Craig Delansky and Davey Heskin drew the front row, and early it was Heskin getting the better start using the bottom line to lead lap 1. Heskin then moved to the top groove. He stayed up there, and he held a comfortable lead until lap 11 when Brooke Tatnall rolled to a stop to bring out a caution. On the restart, both Heskin and Delansky stayed up on the cushion around turns 1 and 2, but then Delansky had more momentum coming off the corner, and as they raced down in the backstretch to turn 3, Delansky dove low and slid up in front of Heskin to get the lead. Heskin battled back on the bottom groove to regain the point off of turn 2 and went back to the high side in turns 3 and 4. Heskin was a leader at the line when they completed lap 13, but Delansky came back under Heskin with a slide job going into turn 1 and sliding up in front of him in turn 2 to get the lead back. And when he did that, he kind of took the air off of Heskin's front end of his car, and he lost momentum briefly, but was able to regain his momentum there, going back to his bread and butter on the bottom groove. He made up a lot of ground, caught up with Delansky, and on laps 17, 18, and 19, these two guys were running side by side, trading the lead back and forth several times. Heskin was better down in turns 1 and 2, but Delansky was a little better in turns 3 and 4. They were side by side at the line at the white flag, but as they entered turn 1, Delansky kind of pinched Heskin down into the bottom and slammed the door going into turn 1, and that kind of sealed the deal as Delansky went on to win. Heskin held on for second. Justin Henderson was third, Danny Lasowski fourth, Terry McCarl fifth, sixth Brian Brown, seventh Ian Madsen, eighth Dusty Zomer, ninth Mark Dobmeyer, 10th Brad Loyette coming from the B main after winning that. Hard charger on the night was Don Drought Jr., who started 22nd and finished 12th. That's the third time this season Don Drought has been the hard charger of the race. Reviewing the point standings after the first 6 weeks, 305-point leader is Matthew Stelzer. Steve Brazil is second. Stelzer went around Brazil this week to take over the point lead. Jay Kinder is third. Kevin Hetrick moved up to fourth. And Stacy Alexander is fifth. Like I said earlier, in the 360 class, John Egan's your point leader. Justin Henderson, who is competing in both the 410 and 360 classes full-time this season, he is only eligible to win the Drivers' Championship in one class. He elected to win that, or to race for the 410 championship instead of the 360. But his car owner, Brian Sunby, is eligible for the 360 championship on the owner's point side, and they're leading that. They've got nearly 180-point margin here, it looks like, over the Egan Motorsports team on the owner's side. In the 410 points, you've got Terry McCarl as your point leader. He's got a 130-point lead over Ian Madsen in second. Davey Heskin has climbed from 7th to 3rd in points over the past 2 weeks. Justin Henderson is 4th. Craig Delansky is 5th. Brian Brown, who's missed 1 week, he won the last 3 weeks. He's sitting in 7th place in points right now, but he's definitely on a pace to be earning enough points where if he would stay the rest of the season, can possibly make it interesting in the points race. But it sounds like he's going to miss a couple of more shows later this season. But so he'll probably fall out of the points at some point here, but interesting to see how well he's doing, even though he's missed 1 week this season already. So there's your race recap for this. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Tonight we're going to talk with 410 driver Davey Heskin from Minnesota. You finished second this week in the feature. Tell us a little bit about your race.
It was just a good race. Craig slid me going to the first corner, and we cut to the bottom, and I think the first couple corners we ran on the bottom, and then we went to the top because I was going to make him work for it, try to get by me. But all in all, it was a good night. It was fun. Got a little chopped at the end of the race, but what are you going to do? You just live to fight another day and get a little better next week. That's all we can hope for.
Seems like you've really got the bottom line figured out here at Knoxville Raceway.
Well, a lot of people like to tell me that, but she can reach up and grab you and bite you in the butt pretty fast. If you overdrive it, she'll bite you, and you just got to get in there. I don't even know. Everybody asks me how I do it, and I have no idea.
Tell us a little bit about your family's been involved with racing for quite a while. Tell us a little bit just how you got started into racing to begin with.
I just remember going to the racetrack since I was about 8 years old. I think I started getting in the pits, and I remember playing with the cars with my brother, little cars in the dirt out Arlington Raceway is where we got started. And ever since I could scrape mud, I was there. And when I turned 8, we started racing go-karts. That was the legal age, and it's kind of funny. It's a funny story because my brother was always a little bit younger than me by about, I think it's like 16 months, and he would actually practice my go-kart in my class, and I would go out and hot lap with a class above me. So he could get laps along the way, but that's how we started, and then we kind of made the transition over to a little faster go-kart track up in Wisconsin, and never went national, just always kind of stayed around home. And my dad was still racing down here at the time, and we'd come down here on Saturday nights, and then we'd take off and drive all the way home and get up and go to Taylor's Falls, Wisconsin up there, and or Taylor's Falls, Minnesota, I should say. And just a racing family, I guess.
Tell us a little bit about what you guys do to make a living up at home.
Back home we work on, it's kind of a bit hard to explain, but all the small airplanes around, or the more the private sector, we work on the propellers, not the jets, but we work on the propellers on the front of Cessnas or King Airs or Beach, and we do a lot of the old-time warbird stuff, like the P-51s we do a lot of, and the old bombers that go around and do fly shows. And I'm forgetting the name of right now, but that's what we do back home for a living. We actually, the last 3 weeks, we've stopped at the Ankeny Airport and dropped off props for people, and we actually had Northwoods Community College from down in Ottumwa come up this week to pick up a prop at the campground when we were working on the cars, and it's fun. It's a different atmosphere besides the racing community. They're just good people. You just get into those small segments where there's just good people around you.
I hear you play a little bit of hockey in your spare time.
Yes, I do. I was on my first time on my skates in about 4 years on Wednesday night, and I got the blisters on my feet to prove it. I think I fell down a couple times.
It's kind of basketball's king in Indiana and hockey's kind of king in Minnesota. I mean, did you grow up playing hockey in high school?
Yeah, I played hockey. Oh man, I don't even know when we started. About 5 years old, I think I was on skates, and we played it all the way through up. We played high school, played varsity, and all that kind of good stuff. And we were lucky enough to get tickets to go to the Wild versus the Blackhawks in Game 6. Unfortunately, we got beat, but finally made my girlfriend a hockey fan after that one. That was a thrill ride. She said she's never been anything more exciting.
A couple years ago, you were able to rattle off some good runs at the Nationals here at Knoxville. A couple of top 10s. Is that kind of career highlight for you so far?
Yeah, you know what? Just being able to be on top of your game when those guys are around, it's a great feeling. You can say that we race this track weekly, but boy, it's still hard to do that. Last year we qualified good, and we just had a little motor stumble, and that's what cost you. It's just those fractions of a second or an inch on the track making the transfer. I remember one year we missed the transfer coming down in the heat race by literally 6 inches to Paul McMahon, and you just have to have everything fall your way and just be good enough to get you into Saturday night. There's no better feeling than being locked into that race at the end of the year.
You've almost won a couple of preliminary features, and those got away from you. How do you relive those races in the back of your mind every once in a while?
You think about them, but every time you get on the track, it's different. When you watch the video, you're eating yourself up. I'll tell you that. But it's proud to be up there with them guys. It's good racing, and and now you got me thinking about them. But it's hopefully we'll get one. It'd be preliminary, would be awesome, and Saturday night would be spectacular. But every kid's got their dream, and I guess that's one of mine.
We're about 6 weeks into the season now in Knoxville. The weather and the humidity have been cool and very low humidity, which is strange for around here. Has that made it difficult as far as setting up the cars and the engines?
It just means you get a lot of power out of your engine. The air's been very well. I think the worst air we've had here is 3,000 feet, and we judge everything. We judge everything off the altitude. And when it's under 3,000, it's pretty good. That means there's a lot of motor involved. It's a good thing and bad thing at times. Sometimes you can get off the bottom a lot better just because you have the horsepower. But yeah, it's just been beautiful, nice. Last Saturday was just awesome.
Did you grow up cheering for Craig Delansky when you were a kid?
I always knew who Craig was. It's funny because we actually bought our first 2 cars from Craig Delansky way back when, and one of my favorite motors we bought from him back when, and we stumbled upon Charlie Garrett, which has just been instrumental in helping us progress and just have a top-notch engine program. And I can't say enough about Charlie. He just kind of took us under his wing, and we're kind of a small team, and he just always took care of us, and I just can't thank him enough. But in that regard, Craig probably, Elk River is probably only about 20 minutes for me, maybe less than that. But we always knew who he was, and I actually went down to Florida one week, I think it was 17, and we helped for the Volusia shows. But yeah, you always know who Craig was. He's only Minnesotan out there that's around Knoxville.
Kind of crazy you're racing tonight with him for the win.
Yeah, it's
You ever pinch yourself that you're racing against Craig Delansky and some of these guys?
It's hard because you try not to pay attention because in the end you want to beat them, and that competitive side comes out, and when you're like, all right, let's go. We're not here to mess around. And what was awesome tonight was I never felt out of it, and I was up top, and a lot of people know I kind of run the bottom quite a bit, but I was up top and I felt comfortable up there, and then on the caution he slid me, and then I slid him back, and then he got one to stick, and so we rode around, and I tried hitting the bottom, and we just kind of kept working our way up there and kept hitting my marks, and I felt like I never felt out of it, and it's such a great feeling to feel like you still could have raced hard, like he wasn't better on that night, but chips fall how they may sometimes, and hopefully they fall the other way next time.
Recently, Knoxville made a rule change with the front wings about moving those 2 inches, was it forward, I believe?
Yep.
Has that seemed to help your handling of your car?
To be honest, we've never touched our nose ring after that rule came out. We always just kind of felt confident where it was at, and we didn't want to upset the balance of the car because, let's be honest, you got to be comfortable in the car, and we always felt like it was pretty decent. I never wanted to really mess with it. I wanted to try different shocks or something else.
All right. Well, Davey, thanks for coming on the show this week. Appreciate it. Good luck to you the rest of the season.
No, thank you guys very much for having me.
That's Davey Heskin, 410 driver at Knoxville Raceway, second place this week. Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. We're going to wrap up tonight's show here with a few quick notes. This coming week number 7 of the Lucas Oil Knoxville Championship Cup Series, Pella Corporation and JDRF Racing to a Cure for Diabetes Night. Before the races from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in Dyer Hudson Hall, there is a fundraiser supper for the JDRF. Free will donations are welcome there. Earlier in the day on Saturday, at 1 o'clock, I believe, or at noon, it will be the 25th Annual National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum Induction Ceremony. Drivers Mark Kinzer, Dave Blaney, Bobby Davis Jr., and several others will be enshrined into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. So congratulations to all of them. I know I'll be in attendance at noon on Saturday for that, so I'm looking forward to that. If you want tickets for that, tickets are $25. You can get a hold of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, talk to Lori, and she can get you set up. This coming Saturday night is also Free Kids Night. Ages 19 and under are free admission. That's right, free admission for kids this Saturday night. Adults, save your Casey's General Stores receipts. Receipts of $50 or more get you 2 tickets for $20. Senior discounts, there's always a senior discount, 60 and up, get a discount of $3. Show your ID there, you can get a discount. In 2 weeks, it's only 2 weeks away now, June 13th through the 15th, we've got the World of Outlaw and AMA Flat Track weekend. Friday night is vintage motorcycles. Saturday night, the World of Outlaw sprint cars. And then Sunday night, the AMA Pro Flat Track Grand National Series will be there. Looking forward to that event. Then coming up at the fair, Friday, July 11th, we got Hairball concert. Monday the 14th, we got a go-kart event there in the infield. Then the Harris Clash will be coming up on July 17th. Don't forget about the 360 Nationals. They're July 31 through August 2nd. The Capitani Classic, August 3rd. The FVP Knoxville Nationals, August 6th through the 9th. And in September, you've got Monster Jam and Late Model Nationals, so don't forget about those. That's going to wrap it up this week for Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Thanks for listening. See you Saturday night at the races.